Yeah, that reassuring roar or growl or whatever it is. So, welcome to a special live recording of FFS. Difficult for me to say with a lisp still after all these episodes that we've done. And we're in Monte Carlo. And sitting beside me, as always, yes, clap for Monte Carlo and our live audience here. Thank you very much. Beside me, a man that doesn't really need much introduction, a man that I was lucky enough never to drive for, but I consider it an honour to sit beside Mr. Eddie Jordan.
Ah! Do we like the growl, ladies and gentlemen? Do we like the growl? Or you could do without it?
I like it. I like the growl. It works for me.
So anyway, I'm here with DC. Twice winner here, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give him a round of applause?
Yeah, thank you.
Because I got that in before he gets it in, you know. I just want to be gracious and kind and nice to my mate here.
You're very kind. And you might be wondering, for those who've never actually seen EJ and I side by side, you might be wondering, Eddie seems taller than I imagined. And it's because he's sitting on a donut. Because a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Jordan had a small medical procedure, but you're looking well.
Not so small, I can tell you.
I want to play it down. You can share further if you want. I was just going to say a small medical procedure, which you've bounced back from in typical Eddie Jordan style, where there's an opportunity to earn money. You're not going to lie in a hospital bed. You're out there pimping your wares.
Well, you might say that about earning some money, but I'm sitting beside DC, who is a typically tight-ass Scot. And I tell you what, stone, blood, everything comes to mind when you're talking about getting money out of DC. He may be a good driver and he'd be a great friend, but he is first at the bar, but he's got very short pockets, let me tell you. He doesn't dive in there very quickly. And talking about procedure, let me just go, yes, to my total surprise, I'm a real bike fanatic and I cycle most days. I got stopped in my tracks and I realized after a test, and I say this to all the guys here, and we talk about breast cancer for the ladies, equally as important. There are two diseases that will affect most of us in our lifetime. And for Christ's sake, man, it's only a simple matter of getting checked. Don't be stupid. Go and get checked. I had the prostate out and some of the bladder, and it was honestly a miracle, and it was only 2 weeks yesterday. So I have to say.
Well done. I almost feel bad taking the piss out of you now. You've gone and given us something serious. But are you available?
Well, I wish you could, because it's not easy at the moment. It's like and broken bottles comes to mind.
Well, I'm sorry about that. But would you mind doing a check on me later?
I've seen you and your father and your mother naked at some stage in my lifetime.
All at different times, I have to say. But anyway, we need
to about that.
We'll move on. And we have to say a big thank you to our friend Nigel Essam. He has allowed us to come along here to the Harbour Club here in Monte Carlo, one of the best viewing spots for the Grand Prix. So thank you to him and his team. Before we move along to reviewing the drivers, Monaco nightlife, you're very much a part of it. You said it's only a couple of weeks since a wee op, but you've been gigging. You like to play the spoons, play the drums, play anything if there's a bit of cash involved. So Monaco nightlife, any stories of the weird and wonderful or greatest parties that you've had over the years? You've got lots of celeb friends. You know, I remember you two being guests of yours and Martin Brundle talking away to the edge and eventually asking him, so what do you do for a living? And he said, I play in a band. He had no idea who that was.
I think it's unfair on Martin for him to slag him off, because Martin Brundle made him what he was, or is, because Martin Brundle was a silent assassin. He was his manager. Is that not true?
He was a manager for 10 years and he did a great job. So Martin's a buddy.
There you go.
Do you feel bad for sacking him?
You know, I've never had any regrets about sacking anyone, because anyone who just didn't measure up to the meet at the time or didn't pay, they got the exit door. And it wasn't a swinging door. There was never a way back, unless they had even more money.
And then
there was possibilities.
Yeah.
Then there was negotiations.
Well, okay, right. Let's do a quick review of the season, EJ, as he's looking for a small refreshment there. His normal water, clear liquid, possibly from Mexico.
Sorry, did you hear that? In case you didn't hear, gin and tonic. You'd be brilliant. And you make it 2.
There you go. All right. Well, yes, a large water for me too, please. Right. EJ, we are here overlooking Sandevot. Absolutely iconic scene of many an incident. I've crashed here in 95 I got squeezed between Jean Alesi and Gerhard Berger. I almost did an EJ there and couldn't get the name out. But just a bit further along from here on the start-finish is where Charles Leclerc spent most of his childhood. So let's start with him and Ferrari. He's been a little bit quiet so far this season, but there's a real feeling that he's a man that can deliver around here. Do you think, well, first of all, how do you feel he's performed in the first quarter of the season, and how do you think he can perform this weekend?
Well, for me, Charles I have to be really careful how I analyse that, because when you look at him, he is an incredibly quiet guy. Every parent here would absolutely love to have him as a son because he's such a perfect individual. Incidentally, his mother used to cut David's hair, and that's why he looks so goddamn good. But she couldn't do anything about his jaw. That was a bit more difficult.
Where did you go to get your haircut?
I never, same place as you in the end.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
That's a little private joke, though. Yeah. Anyway, round of applause for the barman, please.
Well done. So,
cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Charles Leclerc, actually, I really think he could win this, because there's nothing between him, Lando, and I think Oscar possibly could be a dark horse here because he's just getting stronger and stronger. I think Checo is just brilliant at street circuits, and maybe he might pop and surprise us all again, but I don't see it. I don't know, that little niche that he had, Baku and races that he was unbelievable in, seems to have evaporated, does it not? So, but Max is always going to be there. So I would say if you were a betting man, you'd have a look at those 3 for sure. And there's always got 1 or 2 who always pops up. But Max is the man to beat. But then you have to ask yourself why, as the Red Bull just momentarily just tailed off a bit. Is it anything to do with Adrian Newey? Is it anything to do with the car? Or is it just the evolution that the cars are now all becoming so much and so similar that it gives them that opportunity? I think Charles Leclerc has a very serious chance of winning this race.
Let's move on to Lewis Hamilton. Very strong in free practice. Had not the strongest start to this year. He's made the shock announcement he's heading to Ferrari alongside Charles. So what's your appraisal of where he is so far this season and the fact that he's going to end up at Ferrari in the future?
I think his mojo was up at Mercedes. I think he needed a new home. And often the case is when the time and the pressure and the stress on people is so intense that you need to find another set of another parameters, and I think that's where Lewis, why he went there. I truthfully don't believe it's to do with contracts or money. I think he feels that he would like to see his career finish at Ferrari because it's a magic place to go. And he intends to go to live in Italy, which I can understand. He intends to learn the language fluently. And I think they're all very important because if you don't do that, you will not be ingratiated within the Ferrari confines. Can he win a world championship in the future? I think they are very strong. We are all very impressed with Fred Vasseur because I think Fred has brought a magic calm to that team. And if you can see it, it's a bit like what McLaren is doing. And that is they're slowly catching the monkey, and the monkey being Red Bull. So they're slowly catching up. And that's great for us because we will actually see better high quality races, and hopefully we won't see Max going into the distance 20 and 30 seconds in the front.
I think the taxman's eventually caught up with you. The police are on the way for you.
Well, as long as not the ambulance, I'm happy about that. I can handle.
How do you think he's going to coexist with Charles Leclerc? I've said that personally, Charles at 27, one of the fastest guys, is going to be a big challenge for Lewis. But he's going to be 40. I'm not questioning Lewis's brilliance, but it's just a natural curve in someone's career. And I've got to believe that Lewis is at the point where he's got all of the experience, but I can't believe he's getting quicker at that age. And I know that's going to upset the Lewis fans, but obviously I would be delighted to see that he's defying age, and that it's going to be a close battle between him and Charles.
My opinion, I disagree, because I think certainly for next year, 25, the new rules will not be in place. So he will be effectively driving what is the car that he's got that is there this year. I disagree with David. I think at 39 that Lewis, when he gets himself with red overalls, just like when he left McLaren and went to Mercedes, it was just like fireworks. I disagree. I think that Lewis will be a serious contender for the World Championship, and I promise you he will give it an almighty crack next year. Before 26, anything can happen.
Okay. Well, I think by the time we edit that, we'll just be able to say that Eddie agreed with me. We'll edit out all the disagreements. Right, your favourite driver pairing at the moment, Nando and Oscar. McLaren are on the move.
I think I made the point last time we spoke, David, is that if you were to credit anybody with such a massive surge forward in the last year and a half, 2 years, whether it's our friend Crown Prince Salman or whoever is putting the pressure and the funding and that, and Zach Brown and his team, Andrea is, they are top people. And I think they're probably working on a less budget than Ferrari, certainly Mercedes, and certainly Red Bull. So if you look that they are probably fourth in line in terms of overall ability and budget, and they are outperforming what their budget has itemized. So full marks to McLaren. I haven't seen this kind of a McLaren in the last 20, 30 years. I think you made a point. The one that Lando did was that it was the second race they'd won in 11 years. I mean, I can't believe it's 11 years.
Second Grand Prix victory in 12 years. The McLaren were, of course, a very successful team gone past. It does seem that they're on the way back. So, Oscar, let's talk about him. It's only his second season, and he's right there, isn't he? He's right there with Lando.
Well, incidentally, he's managed by our great pal and somebody that we were all at lunch together yesterday. Another double winner here is Mark Webber, and Mark and Anne, his wife, who I knew, she was actually she was Johnny Herbert's manager. So we go back a very long way, 85, 86, 87. They were magic days for us. And so you can imagine and you can see where Oscar is just driving the boots off everything, and he's not worried about contracts, money. He's got somebody really, really clever to look after him. And from that point of view, I think when you have that relaxed atmosphere and when you have not the same pressure, I mean, Lando, the pressure is on him. He's supposed to be delivering. I think Oscar could be a real dark horse for the championship next year. And his head is so strong, and he's such just not confused. He's so clearly focused, and he's definitely there. Has to be considered.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get on to our current world champion, who else that maybe hasn't got the car to perform right now, who else is impressing you? Who would get the Jordan seal of approval?
Well, for some time, Alex Albon is somebody that I have to tell you, I think he is a fabulous talent. And in a way, look, he's driven for Williams. When Frank and Patrick Head were there, and when Adrian Newey was there, they were the team to beat. They were absolutely awesome. So to see them where they are now is a little bit of a pity. It's a shame, because can they bounce back? Of course anyone can bounce back. However, it's a much tougher job this day, because it's geared with finance. Will the right drivers? We saw in a magazine that Carlos Sainz is tipped to go there. Do I see that happening? Honestly, I don't see that happening. It won't happen. But
so that means he'll go to Sauber then, go to Audi, if he's not going to Williams.
So Carlos is in a flux. He just needs to know. He must feel very, very disappointed to have been given the door by Ferrari, because I don't think he did anything wrong. And he looked right, he acted right, he won races for them. For heaven's sake, what more could he have done? So if I'd feel very slighted, and I'd say if you were Carlos Sainz, you'd feel slighted. You know, what's the point in taking Lewis Hamilton in when we have a very strong, a structured team, which is youthful, strong, ambitious. I just think that Carlos Sainz has got a raw deal these days.
Yeah, it's incredible. The only man that's won Grand Prix in the last year is sitting there without a drive. But I guess that's the power of Hamilton and the belief that Ferrari have that he will be a catalyst to bring other things. So that, again, comes back to our friend Adrian and all of the rumours as to whether he's going to sail off around the world or whether he will be popping up at a team. So, what you can't share a confidence, of course, but you can guide us all and our gazillion listeners and viewers of this podcast as to whether, if he does something, it's likely to be in Italy or is it likely to still be in the UK? At least give us that hint.
Well, if it's in Italy, it'll be on his boat.
Oh, wow.
Don't be asking me stupid questions, will you?
I got enough stupid answers.
You think I'm going to, even if I did know, first of all, I would tell you, anyone who knows Adrian for a very long time, and there have been 3 occasions that he would, whether it was Williams and McLaren and then Red Bull, so he knows him probably as good, if not better, than anybody else. Adrian is a super, super talented person. Not many more intellectual brains anywhere in the world, and certainly in Formula One. The guy is iconic. And it'll be his choice. He will decide, I presume, do I take some time out? Because I've been doing this every year since I was in university and wanted to be in. I knew him first when he was in Leighton House, and that was in the mid-'80s. And that's how we knew him. I offered him a job and he took it, but his wife then gave me the check back. It hadn't been signed, by the way. But anyway, the reality is, I'd love to tell you, but because I wouldn't tell you anyway, but at the same time, truthfully, I have no idea. I have no idea, and I just want to wish him well, because wherever he goes will be a massive boost for that team. That's one thing I will say.
And therein lies the problem. So he's the manager, and he's got no idea where he's going, what he would go. If he did know, he wouldn't tell you. If he did know, he'd definitely tell you, because he can't keep a secret. So I'm none the wiser. But thank you for that. Shall we talk about a man that just won his 59th Grand Prix? Unbelievable, isn't it? He's on an absolute roll. I think Imola was one of his real star performances. He had to dig deep. Max Verstappen, a little bit on the back foot, amazingly, coming into this Grand Prix.
Well, to me, I think the thing that changed everything was when the safety car came in the race before. And when Miami, that particular moment, those last 14 laps and the speed of Lando and the tires and the configuration of the setup that he had on the car for that given sector. And whatever the tires that he came in on, and they went out and they raced hard. He significantly pulled away from Max. And that was the first time in my lifetime that I'd ever seen that. I'd never seen that before, because Max has always been so dominant. You're trying to get us pissed.
All right.
You must remember that David has hollow legs. He can swallow any amount of this stuff. I'd be careful of it. Anyway, and he doesn't get hangovers. Will I tell him the story about?
No.
Okay. Oh, it's a great story. You should listen to it. When he's gone to the loo, I'll tell you. Anyway, where was I? Anyway, Max. Probably, I was lucky enough in 1982 finding a guy called De Silva, gave him his first drive in Silverstone in a Formula 3 car, and then with Dickie Bennett and myself and Martin Brundle, in fact, as well, and Roberto Guerrero, we went to Macau in '83, and this guy, De Silva, won the race, and he changed his name to Senna. So, yes, I've had Senna in the car, yes, I've had Michael Schumacher in the car, but I honestly believe, hand on heart, that if you could get Senna, Schumacher and Max in the same cars, in the same race, and at a given moment, I think Max would edge it. I really think Max would edge it, because I think he's that good. He's so solid. He's been racing for a very long time. Don't forget that it's not all about his dad, who drove for me as well, but his mother actually is just the best karting. She was absolutely an institution. She was amazing. So it's in his blood from day one, and I think Max is unflustered. And to the race that we had in Imola, I was never in any doubt. Really, I have to say, because he's got big wide elbows, there was never a chance that Norris was going to pass.
I was worried for a moment you're going to mention something else he had big, but thankfully you said elbows. So
this is a family show, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Look at the people we got here.
Okay, right. So what we're going to talk about is the greatest moments in Monaco. And we have a few suggestions from our listeners, and then we can pick our favourite. So some of them, and I assume this has come from a Ligier fan or someone French, could they put down that they think Olivier Panis winning here in 1996 is a classic moment. This is probably slightly more wide-ranging. Mansell and Senna, 1992, when Mansell was trying to overtake Senna in the closing stages. We've got Daniel Ricciardo diving into the swimming pool. Is that a favourite moment? But anyway, we have got Kimi Räikkönen exiting the race and storming straight off to the yacht and having a small drink of something. Someone mentions here the 2002 race when I got ahead of Montoya on the run down to Saint Devote and then continued on to win. They also remind me of being stuck behind Bernoldi when I had pole position and then had to start at the back. And of course, Senna and the Tolman. Now, there's lots of iconic moments from this racetrack over the years. What is your personal standout moment?
Oh, a lot of interesting stories there. Sure, I remember the Olivier Panis. It was one race that I thought we had a chance at, and it tipped it down with rain. It didn't happen, and Panis won it in the Ligier. That was a surprise to everybody, including him. However, the one that sticks in my mind, because I just mentioned him, and I don't want to keep going on about it, but when Senna finished with that Formula 3 race in Macau, and then he started and he joined Tolman, when there was a lot of other teams open to him. And it was kind of a strange why he decided to do that. But he did. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think he was cheated out of the win here because I could be wrong, but I'll have to check. I think the guy who won it was Prost. And I think Michel Bouheri, the starter, the guy, and I think they brought out the flag a lap early. Something to do with rain or something like that, because it had been raining and it stopped. However, it was for a car that was nowhere near as competitive as it should have been or as the others were. He was a genius and he was a wet master. So I just think that Senna, for me here with the Tolman, probably rings a bell as to why I like it so much.
Yeah, I think, well, just to pick up on that, he almost won. They did bring out the checker flag certainly early. I don't know if it was a lap early, but I watched ahead of this weekend the onboard footage of Senna's qualifying lap, which I think was 89, was the really impressive one. Or was it 88? Anyway, it was one of those years, and it's just incredible to watch as he drives this race circuit. If you've been lucky enough to drive around in your road car and just imagine adding 130 miles an hour to the scenery, then that can maybe put you in the cockpit and imagine just how incredible he was as a driver. So a great memory for me to have worked with him for a short period as a test driver. I don't know if any of our live audience here have got any other personal standout moments that they particularly remember or have enjoyed over the years. Anyone want to shout anything out? It might not involve on-track action. It may have been an epic party. Anyone got anything? Gentleman at the back there. What epic party?
Well, it wasn't a party, but just going back to 1998.
98?
Especially here for both you guys, because EJ, your drivers won the race in Spa, and
I'll repeat it.
God bless you for remembering, because as far as I'm concerned, he's won everything and I've won nothing. Did you notice that? Have you felt the theme? Have you felt the? I love you, by the way, but I'm not sure about your T-shirt.
Yeah. So that's a standout memory for you in Formula One. Okay. Well, look, that's great.
I'm older than I look.
Well, I don't doubt that. Are you American or Canadian? Yeah. Yeah, well, the US, you've got great anti-aging drugs there and various other things that are commercially available that Europe hasn't caught up.
Actually,
so.
he's a big subscriber to that same website as well, let me tell you. He knows it very well.
No, not at all. Well, look, that was a great Grand Prix for sure, but there's been many others around here. So, look, we are going to be set up, hopefully, for a great weekend here in Monte Carlo. Whilst I just sort of consider how much time we have, because I don't have a countdown, EJ, do you want to share any other little insights from the weekend? You were with His Serene Highness Prince Albert the other night. He is an encyclopedia of sports knowledge. He was a 4-time Olympian. He went to the Winter Olympics with his bobsleigh team. But if you said to him, Monaco 83, who finished 5th, he would know. His mind for detail when it comes to sporting facts is quite impressive. And there's a picture of you and your band hanging in his private bar in the palace. How did that come about?
Why are you so surprised?
Well, because I've never seen any of your albums on sale, so...
DC is still stuck with Mario Lanza. You know who Mario Lanza? That's his kind of trick. Anyway, he's culturally dead when it comes to music. He has no idea. But he was good at other things, weren't you, David? Yeah. Anyway, so... just on that, I just make a little suggestion. Last night, I did a little gig with a couple of friends. One of them is here, and we played a lot of Irish music. And for me, we got the Prince up, and he sang Dirty Old Town, and he sang this, that, and the other, and a Brown-Eyed Girl. The Prince was in unbelievable form last night. And if you're looking for the most unusual member of royalty, I can promise you he changes the rules and the laws, because he is just the most accommodating, most friendly, most nice guy you could ever meet in your life. I can't imagine whether he likes being, I've never asked him whether he likes being the Prince or not, but he's just... what he's achieved and what he's brought. Please remember, this is now becoming, it used to be Melbourne, but now this place is becoming the sporting capital of the world. Whether it's the Monte Carlo Rally, and then the Antique Rally, and then the Grand Prix, and then the historics we had the week before. We have the World Tennis Tournament here. We've got the World Show Jumping Tournament here. We've got an unbelievable soccer team just down the road, and the European champions in basketball. What he has got, and the people to live here. So all the cyclists, a lot of the Formula One, 80% I would say, live here because it's so easy to all the circuits and the tracks, and other reasons, of course, we don't need to mention those. But anyway, HMRC are not here just at the moment, David, put that away. Well, we don't think so anyway. Anyway, he is a joy to know, and he's up for anything to do with sport and music, and he is a proper chap. So we're very lucky to have him in our midst, because he's one of the people. So let's have a round of applause.
Yes, indeed, to Prince Albert.
Guys, you heard my growl, and I have a growl, but many months ago, and it's now 60 times that we've had this program, but I wanted to create the music because I have a little rock and roll band, and many months and years ago, so when you're going to hear the outro, when you hear the music, this big tall guy, come up here up the front. Because this is my South African music director, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, he made this song.
How are you?
So you'll hear it in a second. Darren Peterson, he runs lots of things with the orchestra in Cape Town, does all sorts of unbelievable things with amazing artists. And he and I, primarily, nearly all him, we laid this stuff down, and then we just put pieces on top of it. So the music you're going to hear, it's been created mainly by him, and a little tiny piece by me.
So can I just ask you then briefly, working with EJ, do you find it as bizarre as I continually find it, or did you just connect on a level that's confirming that your mind's in Mars as well?
So you referenced him as Animal from Sesame Street, pretty much all the time. That's EJ.
That's enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, congratulations on that.
We'll listen to your music in a minute.
Indeed. Well, look, to our audience here, I just want to say a big thank you for being patient with us. I know the track action's going to start anytime soon.
The intro and the outro.
So EJ is queuing up the music and talking over me, as always. EJ, any final thoughts before we wrap this episode up from Monaco?
Just one last thing, and that is, Guys, remember how goddamn lucky we are, to be here watching races in this fabulous place. Because we know there's lots of people who would absolutely die to be here. And you know, we're mindful. Don't think that these guys were dismissive of the people who are looking for photographs. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but some other times we're just so happy that people can remember me at this age of my life. But the reality is that, you know, talent is something that you just happen to have, and if you look after it and you train it and you work with it, you wind up in a different place. And I just want to say that you guys being here and coming and supporting racing indirectly helps us, because without your support, I don't think we'd have the same situation. And thank you very much. It's all about you.
Yeah, EJ, beautiful words. Thank you very much from me as well. Conscious that the noise is going to kick off, so it only leaves EJ to sign off in the normal way, and then we'll play out the music.
To our guests in Monaco for an unbelievable weekend. Are we ready?
Well done, EJ.